Hey everyone, welcome to Area 616. Well, now that Avengers Infinity War has graced all of our eyes with its magnificence, I figure it's about time we start looking to the future. You see, way back in 2014 when Avengers Infinity War was first announced, it had a slightly different title, Avengers Infinity War Part 1. It was originally Part 1 of 2, with the currently untitled Avengers 4 being called Avengers Infinity War Part 2. However, not long after that was announced, it was revealed that the titles would be changed to Avengers Infinity War and an untitled Avengers 4, the title of which has, to this day, remained a closely guarded secret at Marvel Studios. The reason this was done, according to the Russo brothers at least, is because apparently the two films are so different from one another, they wanted to treat them as their own individual films. Before I go any further, this video will have full and complete spoilers for Avengers Infinity War. I'm not holding back at all. Also, if I do actually correctly predict anything, then that would count as spoilers for Avengers 4, so basically just continue on at your own risk. Now, having seen Avengers Infinity War, it definitely has its own beginning, middle, and end. It doesn't feel like an incomplete story, but it is very clear that there's more of it to come, and it's not over yet. So today, using the knowledge we've gained from Avengers Infinity War, I'm going to try and predict both the story and title of Avengers 4. To do this, I'm going to combine what we learned from Infinity War and its post-credit scene with what we know from interviews and such. So first off, to recap the ending of Avengers Infinity War, so you remember, the Avengers lost. Thanos snapped his fingers, wiping out half of the population of the entire universe, with several Avengers and Guardians going out with him. All of the characters taken during this were Falcon, Scarlet Witch, Winter Soldier, Star-Lord, Drax, Mantis, Groot, Doctor Strange, Black Panther, and Spider-Man. Combine this with the earlier losses of Vision and Gamora to the hands of Thanos, and both the Avengers and the Guardians have taken critical losses, with Rocket being the only living Guardian left. In what's left of Wakanda, Captain America and the remainder of the Avengers, including Bruce Banner, Thor, Black Widow, and War Machine, have lost all hope. And way out in space, Tony Stark is stuck on Titan, injured and alone except for Nebula. Meanwhile, Thanos has celebrated his victory by retreating to his small, secluded shack on what appears to be an unnamed planet, watching the sunset go down over a new universe of his creation. So, yeah, things aren't looking great for the heroes here, but there is one shining glimmer of hope. In the streets of New York, as people begin vanishing, Nick Fury manages to get out one single distress call before he too is taken. The screen of the device he sent it on reveals that this call was sent to none other than Captain Marvel herself. So there are a couple of interesting things to note here. Besides War Machine, only the founding members of the Avengers are left, which demonstrates a different direction for Avengers 4 than previously expected. I expected it to be the new generation of heroes saves the old, but instead it is the old generation saves the new, which is a much better way to bring in a new era, honestly. Now, we don't know much about Avengers 4 at all. In fact, we know practically nothing, and we're not going to know for a while yet. Marvel Studios canceled their panel at Hall H this year, so we're not getting anything there. Because of that, I honestly would not expect any concrete news until this fall. Probably around September or October. I'd say it'll probably correlate with the release of Infinity War on DVD. But there are some things we can logically conclude. Captain America will most likely gather up as many heroes as he can, probably including Ant-Man, Wasp, and Hawkeye, and he'll probably start searching for Tony Stark. Banner knows Stark left with the spaceship, and Rocket knows the Guardians went to find Thanos, and that they're missing too. I wouldn't be surprised if Rocket made a connection with Nebula. I also think that when Carol comes down to Earth, she'll probably meet up with Cap. It's possible she could go searching for Tony. She'd probably have a much easier time finding him. But basically, they're all going to try and reverse what Thanos has done, and stop him once and for all. It's here, when you ask the question how, that things get more complicated. Now, I have a theory that none of these characters are actually dead. I think all of the characters that were turned to ash were actually transported into the Soul Stone, where they're now stuck. I also feel like that shack Thanos was in at the end of Infinity War may also be inside the Soul Stone. Now, maybe Thanos did this on purpose, or maybe he doesn't know about it, but I do think Doctor Strange knows about it. You'll remember he looked into all possible futures for the events happening, all 14 million of them. And he said that he only saw one where they actually beat Thanos. That means he knows what to do to win, and before he turned himself into ash, he says to Tony that this was the only way. So basically, Strange has a plan. I think that a possibility is that this movie will be divided up into 3 main stories: Cap's Avengers and their stories, Tony and Nebula's story, and Strange's story. I think Strange will be inside the Soul Stone with everyone working on a way to get out of it. Tony will most likely be looking for a way to get home, and like I said, might meet up with Captain Marvel on the way. And I think Cap will be trying to find a way to reverse what Thanos has done. Now, how do they do this? Well, they'd have to go back in time. This is where leaked set photos come into play. And before I go any further, these pictures are not me speculating. These are actual scenes that were filmed. So, while we don't know the context of them, these are real spoilers. So again, continue at your own risk. But we see multiple photos of Ant-Man and Tony Stark and the Hulk in the Battle of New York, with the other Avengers in their older costumes. Now, on the surface, this seems to reveal that somehow they'll use the Time Stone to go back to the Battle of New York. Perhaps they'll kidnap Loki and make him take them to Thanos so they can kill him there. That's not a bad plan. But here's the thing. It's probably not the Time Stone. The Infinity Gauntlet is assumedly still with Thanos, so unless the Avengers manage to steal the Infinity Gauntlet from Thanos, it's hard to picture that. Plus, the Time Stone's powers thus far have been weirdly specific. We haven't seen it be able to actually transport a person to another time, just reverse and speed up things. Although, I suppose it's possible that a combination of the Time and Space Stones could accomplish this. Okay, but things get even more confusing when you take one of the few things the Russo brothers have revealed into consideration. They have revealed that a specific piece of technology from Civil War will play a large role in Avengers 4. That technology has since been concluded to be binarily augmented retroframing, or
BARF. God, I gotta work on that acronym.
This is seemingly confirmed by reported set photos from Avengers 4 showing a briefcase marked with BARF. So this implies that all of the stuff in the Battle of New York may very well just be a simulation from BARF. But then, that begs the question, why would they run a simulation of it? Maybe something happened in that time that they want to know about. But if you think I'm done here, oh no, this rabbit hole gets deeper and deeper the more you look. You see, if you take a look at some of the set photos from Avengers 4, multiple characters, including what I guess is Thanos, though this could be from the Deadpool 2 set, I honestly can't tell. But you'll notice they're all wearing devices around their hands, including Battle of New York Cap, which I guess confirms this isn't a simulation, as a simulation of Cap wouldn't be able to be as involved. But anyway, what are those? I mean, really, they could be anything. But my guess is they're used to travel across time, or maybe even across dimensions. I'm thinking that Stark somehow modifies BARF to not just run simulations, but to traverse the multiverse. That rhymed. That's quite a modification, but that's what I'm thinking. So my theory is that Stark and Cap split up and each go to different times, each recruiting and interacting with different characters from those times. Why they're doing this is anybody's guess, really. It could be to go back in time to stop Thanos or destroy the Infinity Stones before he gets to them. I really don't know. All the while, I imagine Strange will be working from inside the Soul Stone on getting everyone out. Though, I mean, that's a lot of people to get out. I mean, trillions. Really, because it's not just the Avengers and Guardians in there. So, the title. We at least know it's not Avengers the Infinity Gauntlet. Kevin Feige just recently confirmed that. Honestly, it's hard to predict what it is. I've heard a lot of people suggest it's Avengers disassembled, but I feel like that's inaccurate. I mean, if anything, the Avengers are reassembling to stop Thanos. I've also heard Avengers the Thanos Imperative brought up, which is a good option, I think. However, I am liking the sound of a completely different name, one that's a bit more out of left field. Now, I don't want to take all the credit for this. I did get the idea from an article on comicbook.com, but after doing research, I think it holds up. As I previously concluded, I think Avengers 4 will feature characters from throughout the history of the MCU. And as it turns out, there is actually a Marvel comic about Avengers members from all across time and space uniting against a common threat. That series was Avengers Forever. Now, in that book, it is, of course, very different characters and very different circumstances. I think the villain was Kang, if I remember correctly. But I do still believe this movie could take inspiration from that comic's events. Now, the problem is that when you look up what has been said about it, it makes it a bit more confusing. Kevin Feige has repeatedly said that the title has been overblown, that it's not as big a deal as it has been made out to be. However, the Russo brothers have said that the title of Avengers 4 should scare you. It's honestly difficult to imagine a title that is both scary but also not that big a deal. Another popular title that has been suggested that could fit with the whole multiverse thing is Avengers Secret Wars, which would be really cool. It could fit the Russo brothers' scary thing, as if this movie follows the comic's lead at least, it would mean basically the end of the Marvel Cinematic Universe as we know it. But Feige's comments are a bit confusing. Honestly, at the end of the day, I'm going to guess that the title of Avengers 4 is either Avengers Forever or maybe Avengers Secret Wars. And I think that it will feature the Avengers traveling throughout time and space in order to try and reverse what Thanos has done to the universe. It's kind of funny how, even with the multitude of set photos I've shown you, I still don't know much about what's going to happen in this movie. And having seen Infinity War honestly just makes it all more confusing. But that's kind of a good thing. I don't want to know everything that's going to happen about this movie yet. I'd love to go into it like I did with Infinity War, completely spoiler-free. That's why I didn't do a How's It Looking for Infinity War, by the way. It was just because I didn't want to read any of the reviews. But it would be nice to know the title of it at least. Also, and this is completely unrelated to all of that, but I also feel like Shuri might become the new Black Panther now that T'Challa is gone. It'd be kinda cool. It's just a thought. But anyway, I'd love to know all of your thoughts and theories. What do you think of all these set photos I've shown you, and what are your own personal theories as to what the Avengers will be doing? What do you think the title of Avengers 4 will be? Let me know all your thoughts and theories in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.